So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Welcome back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Friday, November 13th. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Friday, November 13th. Hope everybody's having a good day so far. We are at the end of the week. It is crazy how fast these weeks can go. We are already at Friday. I'm already doing my game picks for Week 10. Let's talk about that for a second. We're already in Week 10 of the NFL season. We're going straight through it. I've said this plenty of times. There's a lot of good football on this weekend. There's a lot of good football on this weekend. A lot of good football coming up in the upcoming weeks. There's a lot of good games on this weekend. There was a lot of tough games to pick from. Some of them I kind of had to just go off of numbers, and some of them it's easy. Like, for example, an easy game to pick this weekend is like the Packers-Jaguars. I'm going to spoil it. Shocker, I'm taking the Packers. Like, some games are easy, but there was like 6 games on here where it's difficult. Like, it's difficult to pick. Like, some of these games are going to be difficult to pick. You know, there's a lot of good games this weekend where I think it's going to be very close. So it should be another good weekend of football coming up. We got a lot of good games. And even the Monday night game, that's another good game. You got the Vikings and the Bears. I mean, that's another amazing game. I mean, the Vikings are trying to make a late-round playoff push, and the Bears are a team that's trying to keep their playoff spot. Every week, it gets slimmer and slimmer for them. So, there's a lot of good games on this weekend. There's a good game on Monday. A lot of good games. Jets are not on this weekend, as you all may know. I said it yesterday. I've said it a couple times this week. I might have even said it on Monday or Tuesday. The Jets are on a bye week this week, so no games for the Jets this weekend, so I will not be doing any preview on the Jets. I'll be doing a preview on the Giants. Giants have one of the biggest games of their season this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. The winner of this game could very well go on and win the NFC East, so this is a huge game for not only the Eagles, but for the Giants, especially for the Giants, too. Because the Giants are obviously right now not in first place. If they would to lose this game, they would be far behind. If the Eagles would to lose this game, they're still a good shot. So this is a huge game for both teams. I'll preview that. But like I said, Jets are not on bye week. We play next week against the Chargers, so we'll obviously preview that game a week from today. So, you know, no Jets talk today as they are on a bye week. But we still have a lot of other football games to talk about. And with that being said, these are the topics for today. We'll give you my Week 10 NFL game picks. Last night's game was not a good start for Week 10. I am now, 4-6? I think on Thursday night picks, so not good. Week 10 NFL game picks. We'll talk about last night's game just a little bit. Then we'll go to fantasy football overview. We'll give you everything you need to know for fantasy. Players you could add, players you should start, sit them, all that good stuff. Also, we'll kind of give you an injury update in fantasy. It is Friday, so this pod's going to go up today on Friday. So you've got time. You've got the rest of today, you've got all of Saturday, and then until the game starts on Sunday to decide to find out if a player that's questionable is going to play, if a player that you don't want to play, if you put him in, whatever the case may be, you could do that. And in college football games, and in Miami and Virginia Tech, Virginia Tech play tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's one of the biggest games of the year for Miami so far. I think they'll win. They're underdogs, which doesn't make sense to me. They're the 19th in They're the 9th ranked team in the nation, and you're going to put them to an underdogs to an unranked team. So obviously Miami should take that and put that to their fire, put fuel to their fire there, and go out there and show the college football world that they're a lot better than what you made them. I mean, they're a lot better than 2.5-point underdogs. So hopefully they do that. We'll talk about all the other college football games as well. Give you your my game picks, the AP Top 25, and then there's 2 games I think on tonight. Which should be good as well. Actually, a couple good games on tonight. We actually have the 7th-ranked team in the nation playing tonight. Cincinnati. They are 6-0 this season. We have them playing. They're the 7th-ranked team. And then all games FPS. So we have Cincinnati, and we have actually 3 games today. Florida Atlantic versus Florida International. Iowa and Minnesota. That's a Big Ten game. That should be a good game. And then you got Cincinnati, East Carolina. That Iowa-Minnesota game is probably the best. That Cincinnati game, if you want to watch a ranked team, the 7th ranked team in the nation, if you want to watch that, it's probably going to be a blowout. it's probably going to be a blowout. But if you want to watch a close game, go to Iowa, Minnesota on FS1. That's probably going to be the best game. That's a good game, too. It's a Big Ten game. So that should be good. So with all that being said, enough talking about all the other stuff. Let's get into the topics for today. So with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So it is, last night was, the start of Week 10 of the 2020 NFL season. And it started off with an interesting start, to say the least. I was not expecting the Colts to go out there and win. I did say it was going to be a close game. It wasn't really even close, 34-17. They won by, 17 points. So it wasn't really your ideal close game. But at the end of the day, the Colts went out there and got the win. The Colts went out there and took care of business in a big way, and that was something really, really big for them. They went out there and took care of business. And the Titans made a lot of mistakes, and that's something I want to say about the Titans last night. When I was sitting there watching that game, the Titans are usually a clean football game, and we'll get into the Colts in just a second. The Titans are usually a clean football team, but last night they were the utterly opposite of a clean football team. I mean, they were completely the opposite. I mean, the complete opposite of a good football team last night. So, what you saw last night was not the Titans team a lot of us are used to seeing. You saw last night a Titans team that looked absolutely lost out there. I mean, you had that punter kick, the 17-yard or 12-yard kick, and then you had the block punt, and then Steven Gostkowski. I mean, if it could get any worse for the guy this season. I mean, he's had a horrible year, kicking-wise. If it could get any worse for the guy, he missed a field goal also last night. So if it could get any worse for this team, then it would. Then that's bad. But this Titans team looked horrendous last night. And their offense, Ryan Tannehill, didn't look bad. I don't want to so much say the Titans. I'm going to say their special teams. Their special teams cost them that game. You had the block punt. You had this crazy obnoxious. I mean, how are you in the NFL if you punt the ball 17 yards? I mean, are you that? I mean, I don't want to be mean, but are you that bad? I mean, how can you be in the NFL if you can only punt the ball 17? When I saw that punt, I was literally sitting there laughing because how can you bring a guy in an NFL team that he's getting paid all this money, he can't even kick the ball more than 20 yards? I mean, that's embarrassing. So that, to the Titans, to begin with, the Titans special teams, I'll give it an F last night. If I had to grade it, I would give the Titans special teams an F. Gostkowski missed the field goal. You had the block punt. You had the crazy, outrageous, how in the world are you at NFL, 17-yard punt. Okay, you had the special teams last night was awful, if I could say. Right? I think we can all agree. The special teams last night was horrendous. The special teams last night was absolutely horrendous. I mean, it was absolutely horrendous. It was awful. The special teams last night. It was awful. So, the Titans actually, I can't believe I'm saying this because you don't usually get this out of me, and you don't usually get this out of many podcasters or broadcasters around sports. You usually don't blame a game on the special teams. You can. I mean, you look at the Bears, for example, against the Eagles with the Cody Parkey double doink. That's on the special teams. I mean, Cody Parkey doesn't miss that kick. They win the game. You know, there's times where you can blame the Jets, Bills, Week 1 last season. Kari Vedvik, that's on the special teams. So there's times you could blame the special teams. But you don't find that too many. You don't find it too many times. At least this season, I have not been blaming the special teams. Last night, the Titans special teams played awful, and it showed. Their secondary, too. I literally came on the show. Did I not? And I think we can all agree on this one. I did come on the show. You can watch yesterday's podcast if you want to. I came onto the show yesterday and said the only way they stop this Colts team and the only way they win this game is if the Colts go out there, if the secondary stops this Colts passing game. And guess what they did? They did not do that. The Tennessee Titans did the complete opposite of stopping the passing game. The Titans did the complete opposite of the passing game. So that's all I'm going to say. They did the complete opposite. And the Colts did exactly what I told them to do. Pass the ball. Throw the ball. They did it 39 times. They connected on 29 of those for 308 yards and a touchdown. A rating of 105.5 for Phillip Rivers. And the young player in Michael Pittman had himself a ball game. By far the best game of his young and bright career that's upcoming. He's going to be a good player. I said it from the start. I said it when they drafted him. I wanted the Jets to draft him. Sure enough, they didn't. I wanted the Jets to draft either him, T. Higgins, or Denzel Mims. Those were the three guys. Didn't want anyone over anyone else. Sure enough, Mims is working perfectly fine for us. But Pittman had a big day. 7 catches, 8 targets, 101 yards. 14.4 was his average. He also had a rush. They did a jet sweep, kind of jet flip. Pittman had 21 yards on that. So yesterday he had 101 yards receiving. He had a big day. And then I said too, you got to target him. You got to get him the football. And they did do that. They did do just that. They've not been targeting him much. You target him, you could be a solid player. And now we move on to the Titans. Like I said, the Colts too, they stopped him on defense. Derrick Henry had another good game. Derrick Henry had 103 yards. But Tannehill had a good game as well. But they like I said, this Colts team was they were just solid. They did follow what I said. They ran a very balanced offense yesterday. They ran the ball more times than they threw it. It's 9, 10, 29, 32. They ran the ball 32 times, threw it 27. So they did run a balanced offense. They did what I said to do. But they were not. They just couldn't. A.J. Brown had that drop early in the game. A.J. Brown had not a very good game. Outside of that 20-yard catch he had on the first 21-yard catch he had on the first play of the game, he dropped a touchdown. He dropped, a ball that if he would have caught it would have been a touchdown. He dropped that. Had a couple other drops. They were able to shut him down. And that's another thing this Colts defense is so good at. I said you got to shut down one of their assets. They didn't shut down Jonnu Smith. He had a good game. He scored a touchdown on a run too. But other than that, even him in the passing game, they did shut down Jonnu Smith technically. They shut down guys. They were able to shut them down. So that's what this Colts defense did well. And that ultimately came out on top. Tannehill went 15 of 27, 147 yards, 9.8 was average and a touchdown, and a rating of 83.4. Henry had 19 rushes for 103 yards, and 5.4 was his average. Corey Davis had 6 targets, 5 catches, 67 yards. A.J. Brown, 4 targets, 1 catch, 21 yards, and ultimately that all led to a Colts victory. They moved to 6-3 on the season. Titans are now 6-3. So that AFC South is now the two teams at the top of that. Colts are currently first place. Texans are second. Titans are second place. Third place is the Texans, and fourth are the horrible Jacksonville Jaguars. So you got two 6-3 teams up there in the AFC South. Big win for the Colts. They moved to 6-3 on the season. That was your Thursday night game. So now we move on to the rest of the Sunday, the upcoming Sunday games. This is my record going into this week. At the moment, I'm 94-44 overall. So I'm 50 games above 500. I did, in fact, get my pick wrong last night. So I'm 0-1 so far. So I was 94-43. So now I'm 94-44. So that leaves to me to have to just get 6 wins this week to hit 100 on the year, which would be good. My worst week this year was 8 wins. So according to the numbers, if you match up the numbers and stuff, according to that, I'm on pace to get 100 this week, because my worst week was week 8. I went 8-6. That was my worst week. That's the lowest amount of wins I got was 8-6. So 8 wins is the lowest. So 8 wins will do it. I have to have, if I only get 6 wins, that's a bad week, but I do hit 100. I would only have to get 6 wins. So I'm aiming towards, this week's going to be a tough week with my picks. There's a lot of picks that are up in the air. So I'm going to picture myself probably getting around maybe 8 wins this week again, because this is going to be a tough week for picks. Watch me do pretty good, but it's going to be a tough week for picks. 8 or 9 wins, I think, this week is probably my goal. Last week I did very well. I went 11-3. So 94-44 to start the week 10. That's my record to start week 10, which is pretty solid. 50 games above 500. Can't really complain. I think I'm probably going to finish off the season above 500. Can't really complain with that record. So that's what we have heading into the Sunday. So now let's predict all of the games. Here we go. Starting off with the Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers. Buccaneers come into this game 5.5-point favorites. Panthers come into this game 5.5-point underdogs. Obviously, the over-under is 50.5. So I'm going to tell you what I saw last week out of Tom Brady and this Buccaneers team was bad football. That's what I saw last week, and I think we can all agree on that. I think we all saw it. One of the worst games I've ever seen Brady play in his entire career, and I've seen him play a ton. He was a Patriot all those years with the Jets. I've seen him play I mean, I've seen him play. I see him play technically 2 years. I saw him play for however long. I saw him play for a long time. We saw him 2 years or 2 games every year. So I saw him 2 games every single season. So obviously, plus the little playoff we had in 2010. I saw a ton of Tom Brady against the Jets. It was against the Jets too, so he always dominated them. But I saw a ton of Tom Brady. I've watched him throughout his career a ton of times. By far, last week was his worst game ever. That was the worst game I have ever seen Tom Brady play. Now, comment down below if you agree with me, and if you don't, tell me the game that you think he had a worse game in. Because according to what I've seen, first off, the last 2 weeks against the Giants and against the Saints, I did not think Brady played all that good. The Saints game, though, he even played horrible. 3 interceptions. Brady's coming off of that. As for the Panthers, they're without Christian McCaffrey again. Came back 1 week, added a spark to the offense, almost took down the Chiefs. He's out again. That offense just isn't the same without McCaffrey. I do give the Buccaneers a bounce-back win here, 28-17. And that will be 48-45. I take the under on the over-under of 50.5 Buccaneers win. I do think they cover. Giants, Eagles, we'll preview that in a little bit. Packers, Jaguars. Packers come into this game 6-2. Jaguars come into this game at a horrible 1-7. Packers come into this game 13.5 point favorites. Over/under is 51.5. I mean, I think we can all agree on this one. I don't have to really say much about this game. I think we can all agree Packers are going to blow the Jaguars out of water, and if they don't, that's going to be bad. Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, Valdez-Scantling, Aaron Rodgers, Jair Alexander, Zadarius Smith, guys like that. It's just, this team's just too good. I mean, I was saying even like I said it one of these days, I think it might have been the Thursday night game, this offense is just too overpowering. And this Jaguars team is 1-7. They're on pace to probably get either the second or, depending on how the Jets season goes, first pick. They're going to probably get a quarterback. Minshew's probably done for a long time. He probably ain't going to be back there. They might pick up Fields in the draft, right? They're down to, their third-string quarterback. I mean, it's just Jake Law, and it's just not in a good position right now for the Jaguars. Everything is against them. They've played very bad. I think this is probably my easiest pick of the week. I can almost lock this pick in. I mean, I could almost get to the point where I lock this pick in. And if I don't get it right, I will do something. Because I think that's how guaranteed the Packers win this game. I think they win. I think they win big time, 35-10. I mean, I just haven't seen enough out of the Jaguars team. 35-10, I think the Jaguars score something junk later. Take the under on the over-under, 51.5, and I think the Packers cover easily. Next up, we got a very good game. If you compare the records, you would go ahead and say, hey, Browns are going to dominate, but the Texans' record does not show how they can play. They can be a very good football team. Texans come into this game 2-6. Cleveland Browns come into this game 5-3. The over/under is 47.5. This is another one of these games that I have seen the line change a ton at the moment, according to multiple sites and stuff. According to Bleacher Report, at least, it looks like there is no spread, which means it's even, which means both teams are kind of favored the same. And I think this is because the Browns have shown weaknesses, a lot of weaknesses the past couple of weeks, and the Texans have played some good football the past couple of weeks as well. So I think this game could be one of the toss-ups. I know I'm going to pick this game, and I knew it pretty confidently, but this game I think is going to be closer than a lot of people think. I have saw the line change. I saw actually 1.5 in the Browns' favor. That was most recently. Now it's even. I think earlier I saw it 1 in the Texans' favor. Now it's back even again. So this is one of these lines like last night. It's Friday, so it could very well change another 3 to 4 times till Sunday. But I will say the Browns, I think, do win this game. I just think overall they're the better football team. I think the Texans are a very good team, but I think overall, just the Browns are the better football team. And I understand the Texans have had a couple good games, but if you want to really be that guy, you could always say, oh, look at their opponents, and you'll see why they've won a couple games here. But I think a lot of people can agree with me. I just think the Browns are the better football team. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be 21-17. I mean, not 21-17. 28-24. I think it's going to be another close game. And we'll put it at 52, which means we take the over on the over-under of 47.5. And the Browns at the moment were 1. Now they're even, so I'm not going to say who covers because it could very well change. But I do have the Browns winning. Next up, this is another... Ooh, this is interesting. This is interesting. Let me hear. Hold on 1 second. Okay, they don't have... So Cleveland, last I checked, now it's 3.5, it looks like. Okay, so this is weird. The Washington football game and the Lions have no odds and no over-under. And I've checked 2 sites now, Bleacher Report and Yahoo Sports. So, according to this, there's no over-under and the line is even. So, I'm going to just base my pick off of what I did. For some reason, it's not showing that there's not even an over-under there. So, I'm not going to give you an over-under or a spread. I'm just going to give you who I think is going to win. And we'll get into that right now. So, we got the Washington football team coming into this game 2-6. And the Detroit Lions coming into this game 3-5. I think this is going to actually be a semi-entertaining game. Even though they're 2 teams that are probably not going to make the playoffs. To be honest, I haven't thought that the Lions have played that bad of football this season, especially the past 3 weeks. I mean, they've been losing. Past 3 to 4 weeks. They've been losing, I know, but they've been in games. They blew a couple games. But they're not playing as horrible as 3-5. And I know a lot of people have been debating about this. I know, there's been a lot of people, going around the NFL about, debating about this and stuff. But it's the truth. I really do think that this game's going to be a decent game. And I know the Lions, Matt Patricia and stuff, he's probably going to be fired and stuff. But the Lions have played some good football. As for the Redskins and the football team, whatever you want to call them, they lost last week to the Giants where they just can't seem to beat the Giants. Giants have dominated them. There's this crazy stat. Daniel Jones in his career as a starter, I think, is 5-21. In Daniel Jones' career as his starter, since Daniel Jones has taken over the ball, he has won 5 games, and the Giants have won 5 games as well, which isn't very good, it's very bad. 4 of those 5 wins are against the Washington Redskins. I think it's 5-17 or something. All other NFL teams 1-17. So he's won 1 game against every other NFL team, or one other. I don't know what that other win was. I'm trying to think of when it was. It might have been. It was the Buccaneers. That's what it was. It was his first ever start against the Buccaneers. So he's 4-0 against the Redskins in his career. 5 wins in his career, 4 against the Redskins, okay? One of them was against the Buccaneers. That was his first career start. So that's 5 wins he's had, 4 against the Redskins. That just goes to show you how much he dominates the Redskins. Outside of that, the Redskins can beat teams. They can beat teams, but they cannot beat the Lions today. I give the Lions a win. Here's my reasoning. I think the Redskins are young. I think they have a decent offense. Their defense is pretty solid. They just need a couple more pieces in that secondary. They've had a couple of injuries there. The reason I give the Lions this win is because I've liked what I've seen out of them. Marvin Jones Jr., Stafford, DeAndre Swift, guys like that I think will get a win. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, kind of boring game, and it's going to be low. I think it's going to be 17-14. And with that 17-14, I have it at 31. So I ain't going to take an over or an under because I don't know what the over-under is, but I will give the Lions the win here. 17-14, that's my pick. This is probably the start of about 3 toss-ups within my next final picks. Bills, Cardinals. Oh, is this probably one of the best games of the year? This has to be. This has to be going to be one of the better games. This game has big implications. Bills come into this game at 7-2. Cardinals come into this game 5-3. Cardinals at the moment are 2.5-point favorites. Over-under is 56.5 for this game. This game is going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to tell you first, before I make my pick, I'm just going to say one thing. This game is going to be high-scoring. It's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be big-time high-scoring, ton of scoring. Take the word defense, and you could throw it in the trash for this game because two high-powered offenses facing off against each other. Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, possibly 2 top 5 quarterbacks this year. DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, possibly 2 top 5 receivers this year. I mean, the players on the offense is just unreal. Unbelievable. I mean, it is so crazy how good these 2 offenses are. This is one of these matchups. You think of something, you can counter it with. Kyler Murray, counter it with Josh Allen. DeAndre Hopkins, counter it with Stephon Diggs. A veteran like Fitzgerald, Cole Beasley. Not saying I'm comparing them, but you literally say you got a veteran in that receiving core, Beasley and Fitzgerald. You got 2 prime receivers in Diggs and Hopkins, and you've got 2 young quarterbacks that are possibly the future of this league and Allen and Murray, and you got two running backs, Singletary and Kenyon Drake. Singletary's all right. Kenyon Drake's definitely better than him. But other than that, there's a lot of good things to like from this game, and it's going to be a very good game. And I think, let's break it down team by team. I think the Bills come into this game with a decent secondary. What the Bills have to do is they did it last week. They stopped Russell Wilson. Whatever they did last week worked. They have to do that again this week. And I know it's easier said than done because each team has a different game plan and different formations. But they stopped, arguably, a lot of people think. I still think it's Mahomes, but a lot of people think Russell Wilson, the best quarterback in the NFL last week. And they stopped him, and they turned the ball over. And it's Kyler Murray. Russell Wilson's better than Kyler Murray, so if you can do that same thing, you'll be able to stop Kyler Murray. You got to also stop DeAndre Hopkins. Last week, Metcalf had a big week. They did not do well with Metcalf. They got to do well with Hopkins. That's one thing the Bills' defense did not do well last week was Metcalf. I think he had like 100 yards and maybe a touchdown, so they were not able to stop Metcalf, but they got to somehow stop Hopkins this week. And as for the Cardinals, throw the ball. You got to just throw the ball. You got to throw the ball. This run defense is actually pretty good. Their secondary struggled this year. Tre'Davious, they had a good week last week, but you got to see if you could bounce back. I do give the Bills the win here. I think it's going to be a very good game. I think it's going to be one of the best games of the year. 38-35, they win. I take the over on the over-under by a mile. I think it's going to be one of the best games of the year, and it's going to be fun to watch. I give the Bills the win. Next up, we got the Broncos and the Raiders. Broncos come into this game 3-5. Over-under is 50.5, and the Raiders come into this game 5-3, and they are 4-point favorites. I've said this so many times now about the Denver Broncos and the Broncos teams in years past too. This is a team now that has a lot of young players. They've had a lot of injuries this year. They've had a lot of players coming in, players coming out, players in and out. They've had to face a lot of adversity this year, to say the very least. You had what you think is your franchise quarterback be out after week 1 with a shoulder injury. He was out for 3 weeks. You had what you think is, you have one of the better receivers that your possible best receiver in Courtland Sutton tear his ACL in the second week. Now, I'm not trying to make excuses why they're struggling, but they've been through so much. You had Noah Fant, who a lot of people think is one of the better tight ends. This is not another tight end that has a bright future. He was injured for the first 4 weeks of the season too. He played one game then was injured. He just came back. And now you got Jerry Jeudy, you got Cage Hamler, guys like that. Philip Lindsay got injured. You had Melvin Gordon get into an incident off the field. He got into an incident drunk driving. Say that 10 times fast. He got caught drunk driving. So you had a guy who had off the field issues. You've had Philip Lindsay who had a knee injury, then came back, had a concussion. It's crazy. So they've been through a lot. And then you obviously had a couple guys on defense. You had Von Miller, a guy like him. He needed foot surgery before the season even started. Before the season even started, he was already done for the year. And he's a big veteran on that team. He's a leader in that locker room. He's out. So this is a team that has been, you look at their roster, and it's solid. And now all of a sudden, it's solid. This is it. It's now all of a sudden it's just crumbling down. It's almost gone to here. You got so many different receivers. You got so many different players coming in and out. You got so many different defenders. It's to the point now sometimes you don't even know who's on the field. But I think Drew Lock has done a good job, working with what he's got. I think Jeudy has played well this season. But I do think the Raiders do win this game. I just think they're the veteran team. They're overall the better team. They're the healthier team. I think the Raiders win this game. And I think they win pretty comfortably as well. 28-14, 42. So I take the under on the over-under of 50.5. And I think they cover. Next up, we got the Chargers and the Dolphins. This is going to be another fun game. You talk about the games this week. It's unbelievable. The games this week are so good. Dolphins come into this game 5-3. They're 1.5 point favorites. Chargers come into this game 2-6. The over/under is 48.5. This game's going to be a shootout. This is going to be another shootout. I imagine this game's going to almost be like the Bills-Cardinals game. You got Justin Herbert, definitely probably either him or Burrow, the leader for the Rookie of the Year this year. You got Herbert. A guy like him, he's just unbelievable. You've got a guy in Tua, in the Dolphins, Tua. He's been unbelievable. He had a good week last week. Had a good week to start his career. He's been an unbelievable player for them. And then you got a guy in Keenan Allen, got a guy in Parker, got a guy. Both these offenses. This is another one of these games where you can counter. We have a good quarterback. Oh, Chargers fans. Oh, we have Herbert. Oh, well, we have Tua. Right? This is another one of these games where you can counter. It's a very evenly matched game. Here is my one problem, and I've said this from the start of the season, since they've blown a couple of their leads, because they blew another one last week. I think the Chargers are a very good team. I think they are. This is a Chargers team that all 6 of their losses, they've blown. They could be 8-0 right now if they don't blow those losses. And seriously, it's not like these blown losses like you blew a 3-point lead. They're blowing 2-3 score games in the fourth quarter. I mean, they're blowing more than 2 score games in the final 15 minutes of the game. It's not like you kick a field goal and they drive downfield in 2 minutes and score and that's the game. It's not like they're blowing those wimpy 3-point leads. They're blowing big leads, people. I mean, what? They were winning, I think, 28-10 or something at the half against the Broncos. Broncos came back and won like 35-31. Let me see. 31-30. Yeah. They were winning, going into the fourth quarter, they were winning 21-10. No, 24-10 going into the fourth quarter. 24-10. They were going into the half, they were winning 14-3. They were going into the fourth quarter, they were winning 24-10. 24-10, and they lost 31-30. Okay, so that's a 14-point lead. That ain't no wimpy 3-point lead. They're blowing games. That's my one problem with the Los Angeles Chargers. I would give them the win. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think they're going to blow it late. I would give them the win, but they've had so many blown leads, I can't trust this team anymore. I think Herbert's great. I think Herbert's been amazing. I think Keenan Allen's been amazing. I think Hunter Henry's had a good year. I think their backup running backs have had a good year. But ultimately, I think the Dolphins win this game. I think it's going to be very close. 31-28, Dolphins win. 30, that's 61, that's 58. So I take the over on the over-under, 48.5, and I think the Dolphins do cover. I just think it's one of those things where they just blow too many games for me to really trust them and pick them to win. And the Dolphins right now are riding high, too. Now we go on to the 49ers and the Saints. Saints come into this game 6-2, 9.5-point favorites. 49ers come into this game a complete banged-up team, 4-5. Over-under is 49 for this game. This game is going to be difficult for the Niners in every shape or form. And I said this a couple weeks ago when I was doing my division winners predictions halfway through the year and stuff. We'll do more of those at the end of the year, kind of just talking about the entire season. That's one thing, by the way, before I get into this whole thing. At the end of the year, I usually do this. I'll kind of give you just my thoughts on the year and then preview the playoffs. Same thing with the Jets. It's if their season's done, I'll kind of just give you my thoughts. But yeah, the Saints come into this game healthy, coming off of a big win against a division rival. What did they win that game? 38-3. Coming off of a win where they picked Brady off 3 times. Coming off of a win where Marshawn Lattimore got his wish of stopping Mike Evans. Because that's all he wants to do, and he did that. I mean, it's crazy. It really is crazy how good this Saints team can be when they're all healthy. They're 6-2 right now. And this Niners team, if somehow they move on and go 10-6 and make the playoffs, or even 9-7, and they go deep in the playoffs, Kyle Shanahan, I don't care what people say, he is coach of the year. If he can somehow take this team from where they're at now, Nick Mullins, backups, and bring them in and play and have them play like they've been playing, they will, and make them play quality football, and they'll be in a good position to have a good season. So it's gonna be good to see what happens here. But I do think the Saints win. I think they win big. I just think this team is too hurt. Simple. 2 hurt. 2 letters. 2 words. I mean, too hurt. Nothing else. I don't have to go into depth. They're too hurt. They're injured. One word. Injured. I mean, it's injured. San Francisco injuries. It's crazy. They've been injured this season. They've gotten drilled with the injury bug. Nothing can really stop it. Saints win this game big, 31-10. And I take the under on the over-under 49. I think they cover easily. We move on to the Bengals and the Steelers. This game, I think, is going to be closer than some people think. I think last week, the Cowboys-Steelers game was closer than a lot of people think. Steelers come into this game 8-0, 7.5-point favorites. Bengals come into this game 2-5-1. Over-under is 45.5. Another team in the Cincinnati Bengals that has a tough time closing out games. There's about 3 of them this year. Bengals have a tough time. Chargers have had a tough time. And the Falcons have had a tough time. There's about 3 teams this year that have had a real difficult time of closing out games and winning games. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens here. This game, though, is going to be, I think, a pretty good game. I think this game is going to be pretty good, and I think it's going to be closer than a lot of. I mean, last week, were any of us expecting that game to literally come down to the final play of the game? No, none of us were. I think a lot of us were expecting the Steelers to absolutely go out there and absolutely dominate and just destroy them. So I don't think many of us were expecting that. But I do think the Bengals are a good team, and I've said this so many times. The Bengals are a lot better than what their record shows, and I think it shows that they can be a solid football team as well. I think this game's going to be closer than what a lot of people think. The Steelers have had some COVID issues this week. Maybe messes up a little bit of their practices. I think it's going to be closer than what a lot of people think. I give the Steelers a win here. I think they cover, but I don't think it's going to be any 20-point lead. I think they win 31-21. I think it's going to be a close game. I take the over on the over-under of over on the over-under 45.5. I think it's going to be a close game. Give the Steelers a win. Late Bengals defense folds. Steelers win. Now we move on to the Seahawks and the Rams. Rams come into this game 5-3. Seahawks come into this game 6-2. Rams are 1.5-point favorites. Seahawks are 1.5-point underdogs, obviously, and the over/under is 54.5 for this game. I like a lot what the Rams do. I like their defense. I like their offense. I like a lot of it. I think this game's going to be a shootout. I think you got two good teams there. I think the Rams have shown a lot of positives this year. I think they've shown a lot of good things, and I think that's a good thing. A good thing for their team. Sean McVay's done an excellent job with this team. Ever since he's taken over this team, it's been dominant. I mean, it's been at times unstoppable. And same thing with Pete Carroll. I mean, Pete Carroll's had an amazing run with this team, gone to the playoffs in pretty much every single season. Really is unbelievable what these coaches have done to both these teams. It really is unbelievable. They're a lot of fun to watch. Both these teams are very fun to watch. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Two good offenses versus a defense that has really been disappointing. But I think the Seahawks win this game. I'm actually going to take them, flipping that 1.5, and I think the Seahawks win this game. I just don't know if the Rams are the better team. I think Rams are very good, but I've seen a lot of the Seahawks that make me impressed. I think the Seahawks win this game 35-31. And I will take the over on the over-under 54.5. Now I move on to the Ravens and the Patriots. Patriots come into this game 3-5. Ravens come into this game 6-2. Ravens come into this game 7-point favorites. Over-under is 43.5. Patriots last week barely squeaked past the Jets. The Ravens have been a pretty solid football team this year. I still don't believe in this whole Patriots thing. Some people think that they got back on track. Cam Newton got back on track. I don't believe it. I think they win pretty easily. I think the Ravens win pretty easily. 28-21. I think they win pretty easily. 35-21. I think they win pretty easily. 35-21. And I take the over on the over-under 43.5. I think they cover. And then the Vikings and the Bears. That game's a Monday night game. We'll talk about that. Then we'll preview that game on Monday. We will now move on to the Giants and the Eagles here. Eagles come into this game 3.5-point favorites. Giants come into this game 3.5-point underdogs, obviously. Over-under is 44.5 for this game. This is probably the biggest game of the season for both of these teams. This season, the Giants come in 31st in points per game. Eagles 24th. Points per game allowed, Eagles 17th, Giants 13th. Total yards per game, Eagles 27th, Giants 31st. Pass yards per game, Eagles 27th, Giants 30th. Rush yards per game, Eagles 13th, Giants 21st. Yards per game allowed, Eagles 10th, Giants 15th. So obviously, neither of these offenses are very overpowering, which is why I do have this is a lower scoring game. I think it's gonna be a good game, though. I do. I think you got two teams that are not very good, but there's definitely a good chance that whoever wins this game wins the division. Now you look at both of these teams' schedule. And you look at their upcoming schedule after this game, it's ugly for both of these teams. I mean, both of these teams' schedule upcoming is really ugly. So it's going to be difficult to see. It's going to be difficult for whoever loses this game to really get back on track and win a division. That's why I have a feeling, because both these teams' schedules are difficult. So there's also that chance if whoever wins could definitely go on and lose the remainder of their games, because it's definitely possible, people. It is definitely possible that, for example, let's just say the Eagles win. There's still a chance. I mean, look at their upcoming schedule, and you'll know where I'm coming from. They got the Saints, the Seahawks, I think. You look at... No. Hold on. Let's see. Let's look up their upcoming schedule. After today's game, after tomorrow's game, or Friday's game, this is their upcoming schedule. I mean, you might not get a win in there. Outside of maybe the Cowboys and the Redskins. This is their games. Okay, ready? Listen. Against the Giants, Then you got the Browns, Seahawks, Packers, Saints, Cardinals, Cowboys, Redskins. So if it could get any harder, I think if the Eagles lose, the Eagles have to win this game. And look at the Giants' schedule. It's also difficult. You got the Eagles, obviously. Then you have a bye week. Then you have the Bengals, Seahawks, Cardinals, Browns, Ravens, Cowboys. So whoever wins this game could still very well. There's still a very good chance of neither of these teams winning the division. They might win. I think one of these teams will win the division, but there's definitely a good chance of them having a possibility of, still not winning. So it's still a big game. I do give the Eagles the win here. I think they're just a better team. I think their offense is slightly better. I think the Giants' defense is good, but the Eagles also beat them early on in the season. So I'm not going to turn around and all of a sudden say, the Giants won. Giants haven't impressed me crazy this season. They won 2 games, and they've had a couple good games against the Redskins, and that's really it. They haven't really impressed me crazy. I give the Eagles a win. I think it's going to be a good game. 24-21. Eagles win. They don't cover. And I take the 35. And I take the under. No, 24 plus 21. So 24 plus 20 would be 44 plus 1. That's 45. So I take the over on the over-under 44.5. And I think the Eagles win 24-21. That's my pick. So now let's just run through all my picks again. I got the Buccaneers winning, Eagles winning, Packers winning, Browns winning, Lions winning, Bills winning, Raiders winning, Dolphins winning, Saints winning, Steelers winning, Seahawks winning, and the Ravens winning. One more time. Got the Buccaneers winning, Eagles winning, Packers winning, Browns winning, Lions winning, Bills winning, Broncos winning, Dolphins winning, Saints winning, Broncos winning, Raiders winning. Sorry. Hold on. Let me just go through one more time. Sorry. I don't like to mess up. One more time. Got the Buccaneers winning, Eagles winning, Packers winning, Browns winning, Lions winning, Bills winning, Raiders winning, Dolphins winning, Saints winning, Steelers winning, Seahawks winning, Ravens winning, and then the Vikings and the Bears. We'll preview that on Monday. So that's your pick there. Those are your picks. So that's my picks for this week of the NFL season. Week 10 of the NFL season upon us. So it's exciting. It's exciting stuff right there. Coming up next, we got fantasy football. Alrighty. So, we got some fantasy football this week. Again, let me just check here. Okay. So, yesterday I did make a move. I gotta get a sound effect. Every time I make a move, something happens. It's almost like the draft thing. Whenever the pick is in, it goes dun 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 dun. I gotta get something like that. But anyway. I got I made a move yesterday in my fantasy team. It wasn't a ginormous move. It was no trade. I know. Some of you may be looking for a trade. I did not. I'm always open for trading, though. I didn't. Not always. I shouldn't say always. Not all players. I have made a move, though. Yesterday, I made a move on dropping Harrison Butker. Now, that's going to change. I'll pick him back up. Believe me, he's not going to be stuck where he is. But I did drop Harrison Butker, and the reason I dropped him was because I wanted to pick up Duke Johnson. I needed to pick up Duke Johnson. He had a good week last weekend for David Johnson. So I imagine he's going to probably have another good week. So I picked him up, drop Harrison Butker. The reason I picked him up because David Johnson's out, so I'm going to put in Duke Johnson, see what he can do. Hopefully he plays well. And then obviously that's kind of that move there. This is my lineup I'm rolling with. This is my lineup: Aaron Rodgers, Chris Carson, Duke Johnson, Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson, Rob Gronkowski, Robert Woods, Eagles defense, Daniel Carlson. And my bench is Ezekiel Elliott, Juju Smith-Schuster, DJ Moore, David Johnson, Todd Gurley, Matt Ryan, Rams defense. And my IR is George Kittle. By the way, Allen Robinson, he is questionable. Allen Robinson knee was limited participant in Thursday's practice. So still up in the air there, but it looks like he will play. And Chris Carson, there was no news on him outside of that he's been limited and stuff. So there was no real crazy news on him. Rob Gronkowski, if you're in a situation like I am still debating on who to start, if it's Austin Hooper or Rob Gronkowski. And the reason is because the Texans this season have led up a league high 14.5 fantasy points per game to tight ends. The Texans have, and Austin Hooper's a good tight end. And Gronkowski is playing against Carolina, who overall doesn't have a very good defense. But they say that he remains a solid tight end option, Gronk. It's kind of still up in the air. I think I might give Gronk 1 week. If he struggles, then I'm going to definitely not play him again. If he does well, then I'll continue to go. Because you also got to realize, look at their upcoming schedule here. They got Carolina, then they have a couple tough teams. Rams and Kansas City. So if he struggles this week, I'm definitely letting him go. I might let him go, period. Because Rams and Kansas City are not going to be two easy teams, and they're two good defenses. So I might either way let him go. This is definitely his final week to prove that he deserves a spot on my team. So definitely look out for that. Just watch out. And David Johnson was out at Thursday's practice. Just watch out for Chris Carson, Al Robinson. Like I said, it's only Friday, but you do have to get those moves in if you want to make any waiver claims or anything. Then in my other league, yesterday, A.J. Brown didn't do much for me. I'm winning right now 2-0. But A.J. Brown didn't do much. He had one catch for 21 yards. This is my lineup: Deshaun Watson, Kenyon Drake, James Robinson, Mike Evans. I'm giving Mike Evans one more week too. He struggles. He might be packing his bags and going to my bench. Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Hunter Henry, A.J. Brown already played, Eagles defense, and Darren Carlson. And my bench is Tyreek Hill, Antonio Gibson, Rams defense, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Joe Burrow, and Chase Edmonds. By the way, I want to make this clear. Any defense in the Giants versus Eagles game is good. Eagles defense or Giants defense. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be an overly high-scoring game. So any defense there will be pretty good. Some news on Kenyon Drake here. Kenyon Drake ankle was limited participant. Was a limited practice participant in Thursday. Darren Urban of the Cardinals official site reports. So just keep your eyes out there. And Chris Godwin as well. Godwin finger was limited at Thursday's practice. So just keep your eyes out there as well. Like I said, just watch out, right? You want to just watch out there. So hopefully I get some good wins in fantasy this week. Like I said, comment down below if you have any questions. Any podcast. You can comment me on a Tuesday podcast or a Wednesday podcast, right? It doesn't have to be what I'm talking about fantasy. It could be any podcast. You could comment on a Saturday, and if I see it, then I'll respond to you. Sunday, I mean, you can comment on a weekend. If you can, though, comment definitely on the day it uploads. But definitely just comment, and I'll respond to it. I'll respond, and I'll give you my opinion on it, and if you want that, and you don't have to take my advice, but I'll give you my advice anyway, just to see if you want it. So we'll if you got any fantasy things, if you got any fantasy questions, you can always answer them, and maybe I answered some of them for you today on the show. But if you have any, just comment down below, and I will answer them the best I can. With all that being said, now we move on to college football games this weekend. We got Miami, Virginia Tech. We'll preview that one in a little bit. Tonight's game, we got Cincinnati, Eastern Carolina. I give Cincinnati the win. And then also tonight's game, we got Iowa, Minnesota. Give Iowa the win. And Florida International, Florida Atlantic. Give Florida Atlantic the win. So let's move on to these other games. Coastal Carolina's Troy. I give Coastal Carolina the win. Georgia, Missouri. That game got postponed. Indiana, Michigan State. Indiana the win. Marshall, Middle Tennessee. I give Marshall the win. Liberty, Western Carolina. Liberty the win. Louisiana, South Alabama. Louisiana the win. Notre Dame, Boston College. Notre Dame the win. But I want to say something about this Notre Dame game. I think they're going to win, but watch out. Right? I want to say this with this Notre Dame game. Watch out. Just watch out. And I don't mean this that they're going to lose. You're coming off of a big win against Clemson. Against a lot of people think, this game isn't very big talked about in Boston College. A team who's 5-3, right away, on the road, not really talked about. Just watch out. That's all I'm going to say. This has the making for an upset. You're coming off of a huge win against the top-ranked team in the country. You're going up against Boston on the road, still coming off of a huge win. The game's not really talked about that much. Just watch out. That's all I'm going to say. Because there's a very good chance here that they get upset. I do think they will win, but I think it's going to be closer. I think it's going to be pretty close. Texas A&M, Tennessee, that game was postponed. USC, Arizona, give USC the win. They looked good last week. Auburn, Mississippi State, postponed. Northwestern, Purdue. Northwestern, I give them the win. Actually, I give Purdue the win. Purdue the win, yeah. Alabama, LSU, that game got postponed. Arkansas, Florida, I give Florida the win. Oregon, Washington State, give Oregon the win. SMU, Tulsa, give SMU the win. And then Wisconsin, Michigan, give Wisconsin the win. So, yeah. And by the way, I have Rutgers winning this week. Because they're their favorites. Anyway, so now we move on to Miami and Virginia Tech. Rutgers is favorites for the first time in a long time, I think. Now we move on to Miami and Virginia Tech. Miami comes into this game ninth team in the nation versus Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's 2.5-point favorites. The over-under is 67.5. I think Miami's going to win this game, okay? And I don't know why everyone thinks that they're going to lose. I think they win this game. 38-31 is my pick for this game. Plus 30, that's 61. So 38 plus 31. Hold on. So that's my pick. So 38 plus 31 equals 69. So okay. So I think Miami wins this game 38-31. I think if King has another good game, I think if this defense stops them, especially late in the game, I think they will win. And then they win 38-31. I think I take the over on the over-under of 67.5. So that's what I got for Miami. We'll be watching that game. 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. ESPN. Actually, let me check. I know it's ESPN, but is it ESPN? Okay, yes. So I have them winning. Take the over. I have them winning 38-31. Take the over on the over-under 67.5. And 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Miami wins, I think. That should be a good game. I will be watching. Definitely, I will be watching. So with all that being said, that will do it for another week of podcasts. Thank you all for watching. Another week of podcasts in the books. I'll see you all back here on Monday, as you all know. I take breaks on the weekends. You all know that already. So I'll see you all back here on Monday. Enjoy your football weekend. Another big weekend of football coming up. Enjoy it. I'll see you all back here on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.